Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's gonna be a little bit different of a video. I'm gonna kind of give you an update. So earlier this year, actually this summer, I was having an issue. Actually, if I think about it, ever since the beginning of the summer, my first tournament down in Winona, I was having some issues with the boat. A lot of times I would have issues of it getting up on pad, and what it would be doing is it would be like it's bogging down. Like I would, wide open throttle, and it would sit like this, but it would never get, the RPMs would never get high enough to get up on plane. And so it felt like it was bogging down and couldn't figure it out. Well, it only did it a couple of times down in Winona on the Mississippi River. And so when I was practicing, and then a little bit during the tournament too, it wasn't happening all the time. So I couldn't really pinpoint what it was. I thought maybe it was my prop. Your prop, Mercury props, they have, I don't know about any other props. I've only had the Mercury ones, but they have these little, let me show you. Right here, they have these little holes for air, so it allows air to come out and provides bubbles around the prop, and it helps it kick up the RPMs and turns your prop a little bit faster depending on what you got. But if you have too many bubbles, then your prop just spins out and it just doesn't go anywhere. It revs up, and you just spin out. They call it blowing out. The other thing is, if you don't have enough bubbles, enough opening in those gaps, on this one there's 3. If you don't have enough opening, then it kind of like it bogs down. It won't spin fast enough to get up on plane. So I thought that was maybe one of my issues. I tried messing around with that, no change. So I couldn't figure it out, and it wasn't happening all the time. So the next tournament, I was practicing. It happened all the time. I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't get into a shop. Nobody was open, or nobody had any time to get it in soon enough, and so I was kind of stuck. And then we get to, so that was the second tournament. So then we get to the third tournament. This year, May, June, in July, and this was on Leech Lake. I'm out on the main lake, big lake. Okay, so when that wind gets going, it's gonna be a rough ride, and it doesn't take much. Just like some other lakes, some other big lakes, it doesn't take much wind, and you're gonna feel it. And the wind was starting to pick up, and it was gonna pick up more. Well, I was cruising around. I've been fishing for most of the day, and yeah, I had some of the bogging down issues, but I just kept fishing, and I didn't think about it. I didn't get any like beeping noise from Mercury or nothing. So I just kept fishing, and I was going around this one island, the big island in the middle of the lake. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember the name, but there's a lot of seagulls on it, and it usually gets a lot of attention from anglers too. But anyways, I'm coming around the island, and I was fishing up near, caught a couple of small bass and some pike, whatever. So I was, well, I'm just gonna move. And there was a storm system coming in. So I thought, well, I'll go closer to the boat ramp, fish there, and then leave. And this is still earlier in the day, probably about 1 o'clock. And it's supposed to hit about 3. And so I get, I move away from the island, get out into deeper water, and I'm trying to get on pad. And so I open throttle. It's just about, it didn't even get to the point where it's bogging down. I just went wide open throttle, and it starts beeping at me. It's not a constant, solid tone. It's, the, intermittent, I don't know how to describe this, but it was beeping at me, okay? And I don't remember, so I know the 4 beeps is oil, I think. Because I had that issue before, if you guys saw one of my other videos. So I had that issue before, but anyways, I don't remember how many beeps it was. right now. I did know at the time. I just can't remember what it is. So I'm sorry about that. But anyways, I shut it down right away because to me that's bad. And I think, now that I think about it, I think it is a solid beep. Like, it's beeping and it's a loud tone, long tone. It's solid. Like it's not like a, you know, a beep beep beep. It's, you know, solid. It's like beep like that, but for a long tone. I mean, it didn't even stop. I turned off the key as soon as I realized, okay, this isn't going to stop. And I thought, okay, well, what could it be? Right away, I thought, okay, well, I'll check the oil. That I can do right away. So I checked my big oil reservoir down in the back of the boat. Checked the side one on the motor itself. Okay, those were good. No signs there. I had no idea what it was. I tried Googling it and nothing really came up. Someone said probably, you know, maybe overheating. So I thought, okay, well, that's not good. And I had no other way to get back to the boat ramp. So I took a shot, took a risk. And I don't recommend this because, you know, you could really mess some things up, but I got lucky. I started it up, no beeps. I started going, no beeps. And wide open throttle, still no beeping. And I actually made it back to the boat ramp. Okay, we'll just go short. And I couldn't figure it out. So the next morning, I got a hold of a tech at a dealer, and he's like, "Well, just bring it in." He's like, "I can't do anything to it, but I'll run my computer." He ran it. He said it was overheating. Okay, so okay, great. You know, what do we do? So I can't remember if he said it was the port or the starboard side that was reading it, but he said he said what I would do is like I would check the thermostat on that side. He said sometimes, you know, things can get lodged in there, or something will just happen and it won't open, or maybe it's just not opening, maybe it's defective, maybe it just broke, it's just not going to open. So what I did is I took it out. I don't have the cowling off the motor, so I'm not going to show you guys. I'm not going to take the cowling off to show you guys because I mean there's not much room back there anyways. Like, it's tight up against the wall. I'm gonna have a hell of a time showing you guys. Anyways, so I took off the thermostat, and you know, one way to test it is boil that water to like 180 or 200 degrees. I mean, I think I could only get to 160, but what you want to do is you want to boil that water, get that water hot. Once you get that thermostat out, and put that thermostat in that pot of hot water, and that's going to, and it's not going to like happen right away. It'll give it a little bit of time, but you should slowly see it open. And if it's slowly opening, then it's working. Now, pay attention to it when you're doing this too. If it's slowly opening, look for debris. If any debris falls out around it, and even kind of grab some pliers, you know, and move it around a little bit and see if there's any other debris. In my case, there's no debris. Everything looked fine. Everything's working fine. Put it back in, and so he got a hold of this was on a weekend, so it was a Saturday, so he didn't have his main technician in the shop. So during the week, I got a call I called him and I asked him about it, you know, what he thought again, and he said, well, I talked to my main technician. He said, actually, it could very well be, you know, your impeller. He said, we don't know for sure without really testing it. He's like, so I can't really, you know, tell you that. He's like, but it's something you can try. So I thought, okay. So I looked it up. I Googled it. Okay, it looks super easy. I'll show you. So on mine, this is a Mercury Optimax 225. It's a 2002 motor, so I'm not sure if that matters, but so you want to take this lower unit off, and there is one bolt, sorry. You gotta take these nuts off because there's a stud. So you take this nut off, and then there's two more on the other side. And then up here, you pop off this cap, and then there's a bolt down in there. And then this is supposed to drop down, and then it's the impeller. Oh, sorry. it's the impeller that you want to get to. And when you drop that down, you can get to the impeller. Of course, before you do that, you want to drain your fluid. Otherwise, you're going to have a mess. But you know, do whatever you want. If you want a mess, fine. But just drain your fluid, and you'll be fine. Okay, so my problem was I couldn't get it separated from the motor. Sorry, I'm gonna do this again. Just want to show you what I mean. So, got to get it separated from here. So here's the crease, and I couldn't get it separated. I couldn't get them split. Okay, so I couldn't get them split, and I tried hammering on it a little bit with a rubber mallet, and not too hard. I don't want to break anything. Could not get it split. So instead of, you know, trying to pry it apart with a bar or anything and really messing it up, I just brought it into a shop and had them do it. Had them replace the impeller. And let me tell you something. I haven't had any issues with it since. I haven't had that beep again. I haven't had any issues getting on pad. No bogging down. It's now. I still got a lot of weight in the boat, and I'm not very good at distributing weight. I carry too much crap. Okay, but I carry it because there's random times that I need it and I want it, and sometimes I just feel like if I take it out, I'm probably gonna need it if I take it out. So it takes me a little bit while to get on pad anyways, but at least now I get the RPMs and I'm going, not like before. So in conclusion to this video, which I have gone on probably maybe a little bit too long on it, the impeller fixed my issue. Now, what he said that sometimes what will happen is even at boat ramps, you know, when guys are power loading, they're power loading onto the boat, it stirs up a bunch of sediment, and that sediment, you know, even as you could be idling your boat motor, you're going to be trimmed up. That sediment that's floating on there, it gets sucked in. Well, if some of the sediment is big enough, it could, you know, mess with your impeller and all that, you know, whatever. I don't know. I'm no expert on that, but that's what he told me, that, you know, sometimes it can mess with you there. And there's been a couple of times that I've kind of, you know, at the boat ramps, a little bit sandy, shallow, I've kind of, you know, ran the motor into it. Whatever. I mean, it's going to happen. And so I thought, oh shoot, maybe that was my problem. But he said he didn't see a whole lot of sediment in there when he replaced the impeller. But I had him do it, took it out, I have no issues anymore. And I mean, that happened, you know, I mean, I had that fixed, you know, a little while ago, but I just wanted to really run the boat for a good amount of time before I really, you know, before I did this video, because I wanted to make sure that it was fixed. So it's fixed. That's what did it. You know, it was the impeller, and I had no idea that's what it was going to do. Now, okay, so some of you guys were probably like, well, okay, well, there's that telltale, right? The pee, like the stream of water coming out of your motor, that looked normal. That was normal. So that fooled me. Now, if that was like not coming out, my first thought would be impeller, right? But that was normal. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't like put my hand in it to see if it was like really hot, because they said, you know, you should be able to put your hand through that and not like be really hot. So if you put your hand in there and you can't, and it's too hot to touch, well, yeah, then you're definitely working with overheating. But so I didn't do that. I should have. But anyways, impeller, it fixed my issue, and I don't know if anybody else out there is having the same issue. You know, maybe this will help you too. It cost me roughly around $400, maybe $450 to get the impeller done, and most of that's just like, you know, the part, and then, you know, there's some time and some shop materials, fluid. But I don't know if you guys are having that issue. That's something to think about. You know, maybe what I would recommend first, if you've got that beeping and you don't know what it is, I recommend going into a dealer, Mercury dealer, or, you know, whatever, you know, brand motor you got, because I don't know how, you know, other brands work. but bring it into a dealer that specializes in those motors and have them scan it. It should run a code, and they'll be able to figure out what it is. Then you can start from there. That just like I did. It was overheating. Okay, so we started thermostats. Okay, well, thermostats weren't the issue. What's next? We went down, and then thought about, okay, the impeller. So did the impeller, boom, done. So okay, so this video's gone on a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. I just wanted to jump in on this real quick and have you just explain to you guys, what I was dealing with and how I got it fixed. And hopefully this will help you guys too. So that's going to do it for this. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you very much. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to catch you in the next video.